Hello there, beautiful people, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Miss Nariel. Here on my channel, we talk about all things Jesus Christ. We have Bible studies, prayer, biblical teachings, words of encouragement. If that's something you're interested in, hit the subscribe button and let's get right into the video. Grand Rising, my beautiful people. Good morning, good night, whatever time of day it is for you. Hello there. Today we are going to be talking about 3 biblical people who suffered but overcame. Now, everybody in the Bible is there to inspire us. It says the Bible is, inspired by God. It's important to get into your Bible and read and get to know these people because a lot of them, they went through things that we are going through. They went through the same struggles. They lost people in their family. They were faced with great adversity. It's important to get to know them and what they did and what God did for them to, inspire you. Today, I have 3 people that, they went through things. They suffered. A lot of these people, they were, leaders. They had great talents. They had great gifts. So I'm just going to run through them and talk about them. And then I'm also going to give you where in the Bible, you can find these people. Number 1, the first biblical person who suffered but overcame was Joseph. Now, Joseph was gifted. He was talented. He was born into a family with other brothers. He had a lot of other brothers. He had a mother and a father. And he had the gift to dream. He could dream. He had dreams. And, his father gave him a coat of many colors. He was his father's favorite. Like, his father loved and adored him. And this made his brothers jealous of him. And ultimately, his brothers, they persecuted him. These are some of the things that he went through. He went through persecution. He went through slavery. He even went through prison. Some of us, we've been to prison. Some of us, we've been guilty of things that were not something that we did. So when his brothers became jealous of him, they plotted on him. They planned, like, what can we do to get rid of this dude? And ultimately, they ended up selling him. They sold him into slavery. So Joseph had to go be a slave when he was never a slave to begin with. He was free. He had to go endure slavery. And, even when he was a slave, he still had that glow about him. He still, had that favor. He still had God's favor on him. And he ended up getting thrown out of there because of a lie that the master's wife told on him. And he ended up having to go to prison. Now, mind you, when Joseph is in prison, he meets people there. And of course, his hands are still gifted. Everything he touches is flourishing. And, the people in prison, they needed him because, again, Joseph could interpret dreams. He could tell you what your dream meant. So one of the people, they had a dream about something and the other one had a dream, and he told each of them what their dream meant. One of them was going to die and one of them was going to get free. And the one who got free, he told him, like, yo, tell Potiphar that I'm in here and tell him what I did for you. Like, I interpreted your dream. And, for a while, I think he forgot the one who got freed. And it was until one day the master needed to know what does his dream mean. And the dude was like, oh, I remember Joseph, he was in jail with me. He told me what my dream meant and it came true. So that is how he ended up getting out. And, after he got out, he told his master what his dream was. And, he got promoted, this, that, and the third. And basically, his brothers ended up needing him again in the end. And Joseph, it was so crazy for him to be in this place of this rank where he is above everything now. Like, he's in charge. He has the riches. He has the wife. He has the kids. He's good now. And he went through all of this because his own family betrayed him, his brothers. And so his brothers end up coming back and he notices that they're his brothers. So he's like in utter disbelief. He's in shock. He literally had to go compose himself because he was so like overwhelmed. His brothers didn't even know that that was him. So mind you, God can take you from a place of being down here to up here where the people who knew you, they're not even going to notice you because you're going to be so leveled up, So his brothers ended up needing him again. And it's just so crazy because, he could have got bitter on this road. He could have got angry. He could have got mad. He could have got sad. I'm sure he experienced all of those emotions, but ultimately he still chose to, keep moving forward and keep growing, keep overcoming. And that's important for us to know. Now, the story of Joseph is in the book of Genesis. Genesis is in the beginning of the Bible. It's the very first chapter. It talks about the creation of the world. And I think that, for God to put Joseph in the very beginning in Genesis, that shows how this story is so important because he wouldn't have put it first if it wasn't important. So get into the book of Joseph. They have a movie, I think it's called like The King of Dreams or the coat of many colors. It's the story of Joseph. It's a cartoon movie. So yes, I love the story of Joseph. Again, he's faced with great adversity, but he overcomes it in the end. So the second biblical person who suffered and overcame is Isaiah. Now, Isaiah is a prophet. Which means, you know, God is giving him visions. He's giving him dreams, and he's dreaming, he's seeing things, and he has to lean on God to understand what is this, because also he is a messenger to the people. He's a prophet. So again, some things that Isaiah endured is Isaiah had visions. He's a prophet to the people. He had to go through 3 years of fasting. He was a suffering servant. So Isaiah, I'm in the book of Isaiah right now, actually, in my, you know, daily word. And, you know, he's going through a lot of different things, and he's dealing with rebellious, sinful people. The people, they're not listening. They're just being ignorant. And so he has to, like, literally deal with them. I think that if you are a leader, or, you know, you're in a place of authority, and you have like a group of people or a church that don't listen, or they still in the same type of situations or sins, you can relate to that, you know. So he's having to deliver God's words to these people, and also he's going through the place of having visions, and he has to fast. When I'm talking about he's fasting for 3 years, this is in the book of Isaiah. Hold on, let me get my Bible. This is in the book of Isaiah, chapter 20, verse 3. It says, "And the Lord said, like as my servant Isaiah hath walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia." Isaiah literally had to walk barefoot and naked for 3 years. Can you imagine being in a place where you're starving, you don't have nothing, and he's searching for a sign. He's not even trying to get nothing in the physical world. He's trying to get a sign from God. That is so deep. Isaiah also went through a lot of other things, like spiritual things, where, you know, he had to prophesy to the bone, and the bones became a body, and like he had to go through a lot of different stuff. So the book of the prophet Isaiah is the book in the Bible that the story of Isaiah is in, if you want to look into it really deep. The third biblical person who suffered but overcame is Moses. A lot of us, we know Moses. Moses, he was in a place of leadership. He led the children of Israel to the promised land. He was a Hebrew prophet, you know. God gave him dreams and spoke to him also, and, you know, he prophesied. His dreams was true. So he had to be in a place where he had to put himself in a position to listen to God, to be open for God to be able to speak to him. So he didn't get to, you know, enjoy the things that everybody else was enjoying because he was working. Also, you know, Moses endured slavery. Now, the story of Moses is so incredible and unique, and there is a movie called The Prince of Egypt. I love this movie. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I've always loved these movies, even when I was a child. So The Prince of Egypt, it basically shows, you know, how Moses' mother had a baby, and I believe that, you know, she didn't like have enough room for the baby. So she put the baby in a little basket, and the baby floated to the land of I forget the name of the people. Check me in the comments. Tell me in the comments, y'all. But so Moses, he's a Hebrew naturally, but he ends up being raised with, you know, the rich people, and he ends up being able to be in the palace, and he's the master's son. So, and he doesn't know this at first. He thinks that he's naturally royalty, but he's not. He's actually, you know, with the Hebrews, he's a slave. And so one day he ends up finding out like where he comes from, why he looks like this and they look like that, and he ends up killing a man who was beating someone who was in slavery. And so yes, Moses, he murdered. And ultimately he ends up leading his people and, you know, trying to get them free. He's like, let my people go, free my people. They gotta work, they gotta walk. Those people, they end up suffering 40 years in the wilderness. Again, Moses, he goes through things too, and also he has like a speech impediment. He stutters. He ends up finally meeting his mother and his sister again. I believe they could become one, and like he just transforms into like who he really is. So imagine someone coming from royalty, you know, they got a silver spoon in their mouth, and then they end up finding out that, you know, they really from poverty. So now they go back to the block. Now they look like they from the block, you know, they're in their natural habitat again. So it was so interesting to see that in the movie, and of course, you know, reading it in the Bible. But the movie, it personifies what happened. So watch the movie The Prince of Egypt if you can. It's a cartoon, but it's really good. So Moses can be found in the book of Exodus, and he's also mentioned in other parts of the Bible, Deuteronomy, Leviticus. You know, Moses, like I said, he was a leader. So with leadership comes great responsibility. He had to be in a place where he was listening to God. He also, you know, went through slavery. They threw him back into slavery because, you know, he didn't want to rock with them no more, you know. And he had a brother I believe, who was actually the master's son. And you know, his brother ended up, I think, betraying him as well. So yeah, it just was so interesting to see that. These are, you know, 3 biblical people who suffered and overcame. Like I said, it's important to know your Bible. It's important to get into the stories of these people because it's stuff that we can relate to. They have many more people. It's not just men that was in the Bible, it's women. They got Queen Esther, they got Ruth, they got Hannah and Peninnah, they got Sarah, they got, you know, it's so many different biblical people, and their stories are to inspire us, to help us believe, to let us know that yes, you can be barren, but God can bless you with a child. Yes, you can, you know, be at the bottom, but God can take you to the top. You know, all of this stuff is meant to inspire us. So yes, these are 3 people, and I pray that they all blessed you. Again, it's Joseph, which can be found in Genesis, Isaiah, which can be found in the book of the prophet Isaiah, and then Moses, who can be found in Exodus. So look, I pray that this video blessed you. I love you. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.